everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm bringing you my July TBR. Now I know that this video is going up a little bit late. I know that I told you guys I was going to be uploading every Tuesday in June. That didn't exactly work out the way that I had planned, but you know, life happens to the best of us. Life definitely happened to me in the month of June. It was crazy, but we are going to try to start fresh in July. I am going to do a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning of this video, so if you don't care about that and you just want to know about the books, go down to this timestamp. But essentially, I don't want to chit chat too much here, but I do just want to tell you guys thank you for kind of sticking with me and kind of taking a step back from my upload schedule through the month of June. And moving into the month of July, I am going to still be removed a little bit from YouTube just as I continue to try to get back into some semblance of normalcy. I don't know exactly how my uploading schedule is going to look. My previous upload schedule was every Tuesday and Saturday, and then I went to only Tuesdays throughout the whole month of June. And moving into July, I don't really know what I want it to look like. I think I am still going to aim for at least one video a week. Some weeks you might get more than that. You might get 2 or maybe even 3 videos, just depending. I just think a lot of what I'm going to do is stop putting the pressure on myself to upload on a specific day or a specific amount of times a week until I can figure out organically what really works for me. So just bear with me. Thank you for being patient. But now with that out of the way, if you are new here and you're not already, please be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. So for my July TBR, we are really going to kind of find out together what I'm going to be reading throughout the month. I do know a few already that I want to read, and I'm going to tell you guys about them, and a couple of the events that I'm planning to participate in throughout July as well. Now, I believe that I talked about this in my June TBR, but you may know Jacqueline. Her channel used to be called We Be Bookin', and now I believe that it's just Jacqueline. She hosts a series on her channel called Booktubers and Brews, and I had planned to join in on the discussion for Stuff for the Children by Craig DeLuey. Now, that live show did not happen in the month of June. All of us in the group got into a little bit of a reading slump, so we decided to postpone it, but that means that you do still have time if you want to read it and join in the live show with us. So we are all going to be reading Stuff for the Children. That is one of the first books I'm going to be reading in July. We are going to be going over to Jacqueline's channel on July 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking all of our spoilery thoughts about the book. So if you are interested, I will leave details and everything and a link to Jacqueline's channel down below. But if you're looking for a book to pick up this week and you want to join us for that live show, please do. Stuff for the Children is a horror novel, and I believe that it's like these parents who lose their children pass away, and then later the kids come back. I think it's kind of a zombie-esque type of situation. Don't really know. I don't read a ton of horror, but it's actually something that I found myself getting more into recently, so I'm intrigued by this one for sure. I also do have a couple of arcs that I'm going to need to get to throughout the month of July. So the first arc that I have through NetGalley is called More Than Just a Pretty Face by Syed M. Masood, and this one is set to come out on August 4th. Now, I don't know a ton about this novel, but I know that it follows our main character, Daniel, and he is not exactly the smartest guy in the world, but he is really fun to be around, and he has a lot of friends. He wants to be a chef. He's just a very passionate person, and he knows that he is going to wind up in an arranged marriage one day, and he thinks that he needs to step up his game in order to get a good girl. And then I think that it winds up being a love triangle with Daniel and a couple of his classmates. Regardless, this one sounds really, really interesting to me. I have not heard any early hype about this one, but it comes out in the beginning of August. I like to read my arcs a month ahead, so I'm hoping to get to this one in July, and I just hope that it's going to be a fun and cute high school contemporary. I also want to pick up Little Scratch by Rebecca Watson. Now on Goodreads, it says that this book doesn't come out until January of 2021, but on NetGalley, it does still say August of this year, so I'm going to try to read it this month. This book follows an unnamed narrator, a female who has recently been through a sexual assault, and the book is told in a non-traditional format. It does not say on Goodreads what exactly that entails, so I think that in and of itself is going to be interesting to go into. Obviously, this is going to be one that's really dark and hard-hitting, but you guys know I'm a sucker for that, so I'm hoping that this one will be really impactful. I also have an advanced listening copy from Libro FM of Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey, and this one is set to come out on August 4th as well. This book follows our main character, Franny, and Franny has dealt with a lot in her life, and she turns to nature and the wilderness to kind of try to cope with her loss. But as global warming becomes a thing and those nature and those climates start to fall away, Franny doesn't doesn't really know what to do with herself. She winds up in Greenland following the world's last flock of Arctic terns, and she is going to follow them on their final migration. She winds up getting on, I think, a fishing boat and kind of going with them and discovering herself and facing her past demons and things like that. I have no idea if there's a romance in here or not. Goodreads classifies this as science fiction, so I think that it's going to be really interesting. Again, never heard anything about this one, never heard anybody talk about this at all, but I'm intrigued. Moving away from ARCs, I am going to be participating in a read-along for The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. This is a debut fantasy novel that came out last year, and the sequel and the finale to this duology comes out in August. So Fierce Reads has teamed up with the author and a couple other organizations to do a read-along of this book in July, so I'm going to be participating in that. I'll leave more information about that down in the description for you as well if you are interested. Now again, don't know too much about this one. Goodreads synopsis is kind of vague, and I feel like it's not really going to make sense to me until I actually get into the book, but it does say that it follows a future chieftain, a fugitive prince, and a 2 cunning bodyguard. So regardless, I'm just gonna go into this one blind and kind of hope for the best. Now, before we get into my TBR jar picks, I do want to mention to you guys really quickly that as of right now, I am planning to participate in the reading rush at the end of the month. That's running from July 20th to the 26th. If I do participate in that, I will probably be vlogging it. So please let me know down in the comments if you would enjoy watching a vlog from that. And if you would, that'll push me, motivate me more to actually do that for you guys. And if I do that, then you'll be seeing an individual TBR for that readathon later in the month. But now we're moving into my TBR jar picks. So if you have not seen me do this before, I have 2 different jars here. One of them has the name of all of the series that I have started and not yet finished, and the other one has some names of some genres that I want to read more of. So I'm gonna pull from both of these and see what we wind up with. So I'm gonna start out with my series jar, and hopefully I will get one that I actually remember the series about and don't have to reread. I say that every single month, but I just don't wanna reread anything right now. Wayfarers. So the first book to the Wayfarers series is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. The second book in the series is A Closed and Common Orbit, and that's what I'm going to be reading in the month of July. I honestly don't remember anything about the first book. It's been a while since I've read it. I will probably have to reread it or do a very detailed synopsis, but I do remember really enjoying the first book, so I'm hoping that this one will be the same thing. Finally, we're going to be pulling from my genre jar, so I'm going to pick a genre out of here, and whatever I select, I'm going to be having to read 3 books from that genre. Fingers crossed. Hopefully I will get to them in the month of July. So let's dive in and see what we get. I don't know if science fiction is in here. That would be fitting for this month, but we got literary fiction. All right, Goodreads, let's do some research. So I am trying to make a little bit more of an effort to read the books that I actually own, and a quick Goodreads search for literary fiction has informed me that The Paris Hours by Alex George is considered literary fiction. Now, I do think that this one actually fits better into the historical fiction category, but if Goodreads says it's literary fiction, I'm going with it. Now, as is kind of the theme with this TBR, apparently, I don't know a ton about what this is about. I know that it's set in Paris in 1927. I think that we follow a few different perspectives in here. I did read the first chapter of this in the last Try a Chapter Tag video that I did, and it was really interesting actually. We've started following this man who is a tailor, and he was making outfits for these dolls, and the last line of that first chapter really intrigued me, if I can find it. And so the ending of the first chapter says, "There's only so long he can fight the inevitable. His beloved puppets cannot protect him from the demons that pursue him through the darkest shadows of the night. His dreams always come for him in the end." So I am going into this blind, but it's incredibly short. It's only about 250 pages long, and that will help me out for one of the next selections I'm about to tell you. But before I tell you about that one, I do think I'm also going to pick up Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is one that I've been wanting to pick up for a little while now, ever since I learned about the adaptation on Hulu. Now, this book is set in Ireland, and we follow our 2 main characters, Marianne and Connell, and I believe that it starts out when they are older teenagers, but not quite college age, and then they get to know each other, maybe start to fall in love a little bit. They get separated, come back together a year later, hopefully fall in love, though I hope that that's what happens. I think this sounds incredible. I love romances. I love literary fiction style romances where you get to learn really deep about the characters, and I love the setting of Ireland. So this is one that I've been wanting to pick up recently, and this just gives me the perfect opportunity. Now, according to Goodreads, this one is also under 300 pages long, which is really going to help me, considering I'm also going to be picking up A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Now this is one that I have literally never heard a person review it without saying that they bawled their eyes out, like to the point of crying where they couldn't breathe. So I don't know why I'm gonna torture myself with this, but I have been really looking forward to diving into this one for a long time. Fingers crossed that I am actually going to be able to get to it. This one is very long, but here we go. Now, this one I have been purposefully avoiding the synopsis, but I do know that it follows 4 classmates who went to college together in Massachusetts. They move up to New York to try to start their lives, and it follows them over the decades. This is supposed to be incredibly heartbreaking, so I am just ready to get a box of tissues and suffer. I will tell you that if I do wind up reading this one throughout the month of July, I am 100% going to be vlogging my experience. A couple months ago, I was talking to Gabby from Gabby Reads, and she suggested that when I do pick it up, that I vlog the experience because it's going to be pretty memorable. So be looking out for that in the month of July. Again, let me know in the comments down below. Push me to read this one because I've really been putting it off for way too long. But that is it for all the books that I'm going to be reading in the month of July. Really quickly though, before I sign off, if you have been following me throughout this year, you will probably notice that there is no Harry Potter book on this list. I am behind on my Harry Potter readathon. I'll just say that right now. I have not made it past book number 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I did start that in the month of June, but between life happening, it just did not get there. So I think that I am going to be putting my reread of the Harry Potter series on hold. I do plan to finish the last 3 books by the end of the year, but I might not be doing one a month, especially not from reading A Little Life, which is 700 pages, and then Order of the Phoenix is 800 pages. It's just not gonna happen. But that is it for everything I plan to read in the month of July. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know some books you're gonna read in July. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to go down and give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. Until next time, bye!